would like to be in a nice, relaxing afternoon happy hour. But all of us except Josh are actually just listening to sequester rules, and he's going to go out and hang out with a group of people and hopefully avoid getting sick. So it's good to see everyone.
Good to see you guys.
Julian. It's good to see you too, buddy.
Thanks
Happy
for
Friday.
Thanks for launching this idea.
Yeah, great idea.
Happy Friday, guys.
We missed our music cue.
I know. I'll get bumper music. This will get really good in about a week. Yeah. So how's the week been?
You haven't queued up any cheesy 80s intro lead-ins to our podcast yet?
Dude, I've been working on live streaming. I've got technology that I won't even show you guys yet, but I can actually, scroll our join Kaada, text blah blah blah. I can put pictures on. It's going to be stupid. We're going to look like a television broadcast within no time. So I said we're going to be a digital media company. This is a coaching digital media company. Oh yeah, by the way, networking happens. So.
Hey, I'm gonna stay for just a second. I've got to get going here, and I'll jump back in here when I can. But from my perspective, we're about 2 full weeks into working from home. It's been an adjustment. My team is in sales, and we're used to being out in front of people, and this has really changed the way we do business. Number one. On the other side of that, the people that we deal with, we sell to IT and technology folks in enterprise business. So they've had to adapt to their employees working from home. So one, their networks probably weren't ready, the firewalls, the equipment, the things to support remote workers, just really weren't in place to support everybody. So it's been a challenge for them. We've been supportive and tried to go over and above what we normally do to support our clients. But I think for the most part, knock on wood, everybody's networks are holding up. I haven't seen really any outages or major casualties from a network perspective. So that's the good news. We know that it works. Large companies can, have 4,000 to 6,000 people go home and work remotely, and we think that's working out. So who knows? Maybe this is a blessing, and everybody realizes, there's more to life than work, and we can have more balance in our lives. So we're trying to focus on the positives here. So that's my 2 week in look. It's been a big adjustment. It's gone okay, from a technology perspective, but we're making it. Everybody's doing well. So
have these meetings, Mike. Thanks for having good infrastructure out there, buddy, because all the meetings I've been in, we've only had like one or two little glitches where there's been a bandwidth problem. It's like we have these meetings, everyone's online, and it's working, man. It's like, very little interruption in our conversations. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree, Jesse. We're pleasantly surprised by all the providers, not just Unite, but all the ones we rely on for bandwidth across the country as well. So it's proving that, maybe like I said, maybe at the end of the day, we can work from home and cut down these commutes that we do. So anyway.
Yeah, right. Silver lining in the clouds. You don't have to deal with the race car drivers and the crazies on the interstate every day. We got a whole hour, at least an hour of time back, just not having to commute to work anymore. So that is a blessing.
Are you guys finding that the roads are busy though?
Yeah, we're out right now. My wife and I are, and I was alarmed at how much traffic there is. To be honest, I'm like, surprised. Like it's school, kids would be getting out of school, and it seems like there's that much traffic. So I don't know. Maybe everybody's running to Costco because they heard they had toilet paper. I'm not sure.
Agree, Julian. We moved into our new office today, and so I pretty much had what would have been a normal commute, because I started on the road at around 7:10, 7:15, and it reminded me of any old Friday with traffic going. We didn't have the stop and go on Dodge, which is our main street in Omaha, but it was a very, I would say, more than crowded commute, which, like Mike, kind of disturbed me a little bit. But at the same time, the people I'm talking to are doing a really good job physical distancing. So that's my takeaway of the roads.
I had my first incident of non-social go, Jesse, sorry.
Well, that's all right. No, just reflecting on that's just that, you expect there to be certain times of day where there's no one out. Other times of day, you're like, what's everybody doing out here? What are you doing out here? Shouldn't you be home? And then you have to ask, well, I'm not driving around. Who are these little errands to run, give blood or, get your toilet paper or whatever it is. It seems like everyone else must be doing the same thing. So it's fun.
You know what cracks me up about that? You all are talking about how busy the roads are and everything like that. And I honestly don't know. I haven't been out of my house in 2 weeks.
Oh, dude, preach to the choir, man. That's what I'm saying. I'm listening to all this. I'm like, I'm supposed to be on a date tomorrow night, and I apologize about my naiveness right now. But I go to Lindsay. I go, hey, where are we gonna go tomorrow night? And she goes, what do you mean? We're gonna get a drive-through? So I honestly, I didn't realize like shut down. I'm thinking, oh, we can still go somewhere and like go grab a good bite to eat, but that's not the case. So we're gonna get takeout and go drive and check out some land. So that's what we're doing on a date tomorrow night.
Do a little drive around.
That's
Check out
right.
awesome. It's right with the people. They want to see you. So what you thinking, Julian?
So I had my first, we went for a walk 2 nights ago, the wife and the boys and I, and we're on the trail, and the trail is less than 5 feet wide. So the crisis hit where, okay, do we go off-road? So we went off-road, but the couple that was walking, they kept like the entire 5 foot, they kept it all up, like because they could win single file, we could both squeeze by and maintain social distances. So I was like, of all days, I mean, on your right means on your right, and on your left means on your left. You think they would have single file, but meanwhile, my boys are like, this is the best. They're walking through the muddy field, and it was still good to get outside though. It was good.
Amen. Yeah. And you're mindful of like everything you put your hands on.
Yeah.
No spitting, no touching anything when you go out. It's just kind of crazy how conscious we are now of our social interactions. Had to go pick up my pizza the other night. One time we took some food out and I failed in the Grubhub ordering. So I went and picked it up, and you walk in and you're holding your hands like this, don't touch anything in a restaurant, it's kind of awkward.
I do find that, Jesse, to your point, when I have gone out to get takeout or gone to our move, I'm used to that shaking hands or hugging someone. It's just that has been an adjustment too. This is a real thing that I'm very mindful of now, but I used to go in for, the bro hug or shaking hands, or, this is how we greet each other. Everything else. Now you're eye contact, and almost I'm like waving at them from far away, and, it's like, good to see you. It's almost a little bit robotic at the start. And I think that'll change the more we do this, but it's just not normal.
You might have a new greeting. You just go like this in a bow or something like that.
Well, I like that. Like you're grabbing your heart. That's good.
People that have the 5 love languages. I mean, like physical touch. I mean, that could be brutal for some of those people where they just, I mean, that's just something that they're used to and that they live off of, and not having that has got to be pretty tough. I mean, I, for one, I'm struggling. I mean, I do the bro hug with you, Josh.
Had a good, the Fitbit thing where you got to get your 10,000 steps in a day. Yep. I had a friend set up a weekly meeting with me because she said, us extroverts, we got to get our 10,000 words in a day. So I'm going to get 3 minutes with 1,000 words in this conversation. So here we go.
Are you telling me that's why my wife is running away from the house all the time, Jesse?
Earplugs in. She's like, talk about whatever you want, sweetheart. Yeah, that's funny.
So do you guys think, I think that there's going to be fundamental differences in the way companies are going to practice going forward. So let's just take the coronavirus is we find a vaccine, or as I like to say, because it sounds like I'm a spy, an antidote. The reality is that you and I, we can order anything from Amazon and it's here in 2 days still, mostly, right? Besides toilet paper. We can go to the grocery stores now and do contactless, groceries. So we can go get those things easily. The restaurants are struggling to pivot quickly. Some of them, you start seeing these emails out now that restaurants in town we're just now ordering, curbside delivery. I think what's going to happen, so I've been trying to think from a business perspective, technical perspective, is that you fast forward 6 months, there's going to be this massive buy local movement, right? So we know that our communities can't survive with just having Amazon, Target, Walmart, and the rest, or the grocery stores, being the only people making money. But after that 6 months is over, people's expectations of those companies are going to be much higher than they were before this event. And what I mean by that is, we're seeing in our business where clients are coming and asking for things that they were going to do 5 years from now, they're doing them now. So one of our storage company, a large company that does self-storage, they are now doing touchless check-in, right? Leasing without a person there. So I can show up, pay, get access to the facility, and check in. That was on the roadmap for 5 years from now, but now it has to be in place right now. Do you think that that's going to happen with every business going forward? Or do you think this is going to be, my wife and I disagree. She thinks it's going to be a blip and we're going to go back to normal.
I personally think that there's going to be a huge shift in not only employees, because to cover what you just said, I think you're going to see a lot of people that are going to find that they might be able to automate some of these positions for people. So you could see some of the employment drop because of that. But I think something that a lot of people aren't thinking about is the commercial side of things. I think throughout all this, with people officing from home, you're going to see people stepping back and really wondering, do I really need to have this office space? And is this office space necessary? So I think one of the biggest hit areas that you don't really hear a lot of people talking about is commercial real estate. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's going to open up doors and make people think differently. Necessity is the mother of invention, as they say. My wife took the dog to the vet today, and it was all curbside. Called ahead. She needed a shot or some vaccine. So we pulled up. We didn't even have to get out of the car. The vet walked out to the car, gave our dog what she needed. My wife called on the phone and paid over the phone, and away we went.
Wow.
So as a customer, that may have been a better experience than having to get out of the car, go and sit down in the waiting room, deal with the other pets in the lobby, etc. So for us, that actually was maybe better. I had to get some HDMI cables like everybody else in the world, apparently, in the last week because they were sold out. So I bought them over online through Best Buy.
I heard about this.
Having them delivered through Amazon. And yeah, so it was all curbside delivery. I got a notification when they were available in the store. Push the app saying I'll be there in 15 minutes. Push the app again, say I'm curbside. Someone walks out with my order and they hand it to me. They scan it. We're done. So again, as a user, potentially that gives me a better experience. I would think someone like Best Buy may look at that a little negatively, saying, well, I want foot traffic in the store. So I make you have to walk past the front panels on the checkout line and do some compulsive buying while you're there, maybe. So there's going to be that kind of give and take. But and we're all experiencing, both as consumers and as business leaders, how this has forced us to think differently and adapt really quickly. And we're experiencing kind of the good and the bad of that from both perspectives.
Do you think it'll change as a consumer, the mindset? So one of the things that when I was growing up, we did interviews with my grandparents, and they lived through the Great Depression, and it really changed their mindset to the point where they didn't trust banks. Their cash was buried or in a freezer or in the walls or different things like that. Based off of, those who have lived through the recession, and now what we're dealing with here, where even from a manufacturing standpoint, so much of what we get is overseas, and the delays that we'll see because of ongoing outages and distributors going down and different things like that. Do you think it will change the consumer mindset, and maybe it isn't so purchase driven, and that has a impact on how business is done locally?
What do you guys think?
Well, first, I'd like your grandmother's address. If you could just give me that on a Post-it note. I want to send her a card.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
She's probably alone right now.
Make sure you get a metal detector, right?
No, I think supply chain is going to be completely different.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, who hasn't thought about, we're supposed to go have a review of our 401k next week. I'm kind of scared to see what that graph looks like, but what are you going to do? But I'd be lying if I didn't think about, doing, because I exactly the thought, Derek, and I, reminisced about what my parents and grandparents did. And it's, it's different. And if we aren't thinking about, maybe we should have a little stash of gold in the corner somewhere that no one knows about, we might be wise. Yeah. So that's I think it's different. For sure, it's going to change our behavior as consumers and how we run businesses based on that experience.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be opportunity for people, like there always are, for coming out of things like this. Technology will be relied upon even more. And we already knew it was headed in that direction. This just kind of pushed it over the cliff in my estimation. But who knows, right? Like, who knows what the next great idea is when it comes to business. And to comment on Jeremy's point about commercial real estate, Jeremy, I had the same exact thought. And I don't know if we talked about it or I read it, but I started thinking about this partly because of my industry, but we are focused on multifamily, not as much commercial, but we do have commercial properties. And the talk around not only collections of rent and foregoing some of that in the time period, but the lack of necessity or need ultimately for businesses to have as much office space as they do and think creatively about their offices anymore. I think it changes the landscape in terms of how much build there is, how much need there is. Is there way too much supply and not enough demand? And will we see that over the next 12 to 18 months?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's interesting. You guys are talking about how there's going to be more of a shift for people to work remote and doing different things. Coming from a technology background, it feels like this has been part of my career since I started working remote, having the ability to access things and do work without ever having to go to an office building. For me, going to an office building seems more unnecessary. And that's been around since the beginning for me. But for you all, as you're looking at this and seeing these changes, what's been the biggest surprise for you as far as working remote or, seeing the shift in people's mindsets? Because I feel like that for me is a little bit foreign right now.
I think he's calling us old.
Go ahead, Julian.
I didn't.
I was trying to work my way around that, but yeah.
Right. Go right by.
Yeah, you guys are so old. Like you guys never seen.
Thanks for the backhanded.
Well, let me tell you what it was like 10 years ago, Derek. When
Now we're Gen Xers. We get it. Thanks, Derek.
The day when we had
Love you guys.
I've talked to both. I think you're going to see a shift on kind of people revamping how they work. I personally was excited about working from home. I don't like it. It's not my thing. Lindsay actually asked me earlier, like, oh my gosh, you got to be getting so much stuff working from home. I'm shocked at maybe I am getting more done than I give myself credit, but I like the camaraderie. I like having someone that I can get off the phone and have my assistant or have someone I collaborate with right there that I can talk to. It's different now, getting off the phone, sending a text, sending an email. But so many people that I am talking to have already been working from home, and this is just like business as usual. They don't really understand what the big deal is about it all. So I think we got to take it with a grain of salt, and you're going to see a lot of people surviving and changing the way that they do their own business, even when they get back to work. I mean, I personally am going to change a few things that I do differently, and it's all about, I think, checklists, back to Julian's and my Kaada Wednesday of talking about time blocking accordingly. But I find myself at home getting ADD here, whether it's the dog making a noise or whether it's, quite honestly, I'm hungry 24/7 and going to the fridge and grabbing something. So it's just a different way of doing things. But your mindset, Derek, that you've been doing this for so long, that this is just like, out of sight, out of mind. A lot of people, I bet, are probably struggling with it more so than doing well.
Yeah, absolutely, Derek. The great things for me. And yes, generations, that was a great generational question, because you get wrapped up in your own, what's going on in your world, but I forget that a lot of your generation, so to speak, has been used to this all along. And there are a lot of companies that are used to this, but I would say the great majority of us working are not used to it. Great thing personally for me working from home has been the connection with my son, seeing my wife every day, cooking meals, having sit down dinners. I've played cards with my son every night, taught him to drive. I mean, there are just things that I would not have normally done. I've gotten to take the time to do. Or I just have taken the time.
Wait till the weekend, right? We'll do that this weekend. Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's right, Jesse. Like, how many times you just put something off to the weekend? Oh, we'll get to it on the weekend. We'll get to it on the weekend. Now I'm living it.
Yeah, no, it's 4:30 and you don't have a commute home. Take 40 minutes and go do something fun with your kid, right? That's awesome.
That's right. But on the flip side, like Jeremy, like a lot of people so social, I miss the camaraderie of going to a place to work. I miss the people aspect. When I'm meeting with people, there is something to the in-person social dynamic of reading the situation and bonding and having that emotional intelligence and the EQ, if you will, about how we're getting along and what questions do I need to answer and how do we work through this problem. And some people might be able to do it fine through technology. I'm much more of someone who wants to be around people. And so that's the adjustment that I've had to make that's been kind of difficult. Jesse?
Yeah, I like people. And as much as we talk and have all these different channels of communication in this digital work from home environment, there's still something missing in the human connection, when you're in close proximity with people physically. Yeah. So for me, last week, learning curve was high. Not that we haven't done this before. We've worked from home before, but who knew WebEx had a whiteboard that you could collaborate in? Never had to use it. And suddenly we figured out it's there, and we're learning to be more collaborative with these tools. The experience for me in reflecting from the last 2 weeks is that the learning curve is high, so it makes you less efficient. It causes some anxiety and pressure and stress as you're trying to learn the tool while doing the work. But on the other hand, what other time would have caused you to learn these things, right? And by virtue of learning it, we're going to become more efficient and effective in the use of the tools. It forces us to do it. But I like what you said, Jeremy, that there's been my probably key reflection on this is we have to be a little more disciplined, I think.
Look at that dapper guy real quick, Jesse, and then keep going.
Michael's up there again, man. Is just the time management. The opposite of distraction isn't focus. The opposite of distraction is traction. And how do we get traction is, like you said, we're more disciplined in time bucketing, turning off all the different channels of communication. Yeah, we're connecting people digitally. We've got 2 computers, 4 Slack channels, 3 or 4 team texting groups coming at you. And it just, after a while, it's just overwhelming. And you look at how you spent the time during the day and say, I did a lot of stuff, but I'm not sure what I accomplished. So I got to shut some things off, do time bucketing, make sure you're reserving good time to focus on those key projects that you have. Otherwise, you're going to go through the entire day reacting to these signals. And I think at the end of the day, when we do that, we're going to be disappointed, right?
Just you
just finding ways to be more productive like that.
You definitely hit something on the nail there. And as you're talking, I'm thinking in my mind that, do we really need all these notifications? I mean, I got notifications. I'm hearing notifications this morning coming from my computer. I don't even know what it's for. And it's like, right. That's where in my mind, I'm thinking as you're saying this, that was a struggle for me is I'm getting, I'm concentrated on something. I turn my phone off, but then I've got AKA Slack or email notifications and all this other stuff. And some of it seems urgent. So then you jump over, and then by the time you're done with it, you don't even know what you were in the middle of. I almost feel like people should just put, okay, this is the time, multiple times during the day, I'm responding to text messages. This is the time. And instead of being reactive on the sound and the notifications coming in, then you're doing it more collaboratively within your own mind and checking things and, oh, I need to check Slack at this time, or I need to check my email at this time. I mean, I literally right now, as you're talking about this, I'm thinking that in my mind, because I got notifications for days and sometimes I don't even know what notifications I have set up or how to turn them off, to be honest with you.
Right.
So what you're talking about there, Jeremy, there was about a year where I was working 100% remote and had people all over the globe. And I was getting notifications nonstop. And that was probably the most unhealthy I had been in my life. And the reason for it was I would hear phantom notifications in the middle of the night and feel like I had to go address them.
Right.
So the healthiest thing you can do is exactly what you're describing, which is learn to set up those boundaries and learn to set up the barriers. So that way you avoid your office, you avoid that workspace, because it is so easy to be on all the time. Once you can get to that point where you can say, nope, I not only have muted my computer and muted my phone, I've put them in a completely different room and I'm going to just focus. It seems like there's an opportunity here because we're still early in all of this, right? I mean, we're 2 weeks in, but we've got another 8 weeks at least of sitting at home. What are those habits that you can start to develop now so that those good habits exist after we're out of here? And I feel like that to me is the real opportunity. And that's where I've been trying to do a lot of self-evaluation. Is this can either be something that establishes things for me that help me to be better at home, better at work, or it can be an opportunity to create those habits after the fact that maybe I don't want to have around anymore. So that's really where my head's been at. And
Yeah.
I feel like it goes right into there.
The ultimate hack is you get a timer. Of course, you order online and do curbside pickup or have it delivered to your door. So you get this timer, you stick it in your outlet, and you say shut off the power to whatever's plugged into that at 9 o'clock and don't let it turn back on until 6. And then you take your router and you plug it into there. And so if you at 9 o'clock, all your Wi-Fi gets shut off, man. Nothing works. But it's one way you could do it.
It is.
Create a barrier. Create a barrier. Now, if you do want to
Well,
check your stuff, then it causes work. You have to go plug the thing on and turn it on, right? So I know it's a bit extreme, but there are hacks we could do to create a good balance.
It's a great point, Jesse. And you think about if it works out to where a lot of us think that a lot more people are going to be telecommuting, working from home, those are some of the business strategies that I think are going to need to be employed, because we can't work ourselves to death and always be available. There's going to have to be a shut off sometimes.
Yeah. Then when you do that, you go out on your back deck and you wave to your neighbors.
So a couple of things, guys. Can you guys share one takeaway from this week from the Kaada circles we had? So we had a sales enablement Kaada circle. We had a just because Kaada circle, right? And then we had last week we had one just on small businesses. So kind of like one of the top things that you would like to share or that stuck with you for the week.
Call on someone. Julian.
What was that, Josh?
I just said he should call on someone.
Oh,
Yeah.
Josh White.
I would. Okay.
Go ahead, Jeremy. You're ready.
For me, I think it was this week. I've done the most video stuff that I've done in a long time. I don't even call people anymore. I start it with a FaceTime, and if they answer, they answer. If not, it is what it is. But the one thing that I picked up on Wednesday is how necessary and needed it is for people to have face-to-face interaction, and how gracious the people were in our meeting that we took time out of our day to help them, give ideas, and quite honestly, just listen. I think listening to people, and it's emotional right now for some reason. Just some of the things that I've gotten this week have just been overwhelmingly emotional, and all it is just listening to people and having a sounding board.
People a chance to digest, compress what's going on. Yeah, give people a ear. That's good, Jeremy. Yeah.
Josh, Jesse?
Yeah, I probably two things. One takeaway is to piggyback on what Jeremy said. I always thought it was necessary to check in with people and see how they're doing for no other reason, just to see how they're doing and see if you can help. It's for a parent that it needed to be happening pre-COVID, but definitely during. People have this feeling of anxiousness, this anxiety. Even I don't get very worried. I'm not a natural worrier. This has made me kind of step back and look around at all the people and realize what's important in life. And so for that, that's a really good takeaway to me, is that you need to be loving and caring, and people really appreciate that. So that's been one. And the second one is, it's kind of exciting to try something new, and people are up for anything. Like the other thing I'll take away is that people are adaptable, malleable creatures who really are up for anything. And I've seen, you look at I won't speak on the leadership of our country, but what I'll say is the communities and the people in those communities are rallying around each other. And I think, and I hope that's what carries on after we kind of get used to the new normal.
Derek.
Yeah. So the biggest takeaway that I had from our Kaada circle leaders, and even just in the different circles that I've been a part of, is the community aspect of it. It's fascinating to me how well we do adapt. And even though we may not be able to be near each other, I love the dog in there. But just seeing that, right? You get the opportunity to actually see people for being humans as opposed to being, business, right? You got a dog who just hopped up, licked your face, and you get to experience how people are outside of just the suit and tie. And for me, that's been cool to see a more human side of everyone.
It's not the end of the world where I would used to get and I'll throw myself under the bus. And I told someone this today. I feel like there's because my dog had a bone and it was like dropping on the tile floor making noise, and people are cool now. I used to get all uptight about hearing a noise, or, oh my gosh, this guy's got a baby in the background right now, this is brutal. Guess what? It's life, man. And if people are going to be upset about that, they got bigger problems in their life to deal with. So I saw a dog, actually, yeah, it was one of the people in our Kaada on Wednesday. Someone had a dog run through, and there's something fun about that. There's something fun about, okay, dude, this is life. This is what they're dealing with. It's okay. I mean, I think moving forward, the one thing I hope people get out of all this is the fact that people deserve to have a life, and that baby's crying. Someone shouldn't get upset or yell at their dog because it's made a noise. Like, okay, well, it made a noise. I mean, what did the dog do wrong? I mean, I feel like people should be a lot more forgiving on things moving forward once things, quote unquote, get back to normal, because of just what you said, life happening while they're doing business.
Yeah, that's awesome, Jeremy. I think that's really true. And when we have these things, we always strongly encourage people to turn their cameras on for that very reason. Learn about each other more, have more empathy for people in their lives and their family and other things that are going on. So that's been pretty significant too. And as you were talking about noise and distractions and having more empathy, I had to mute my phone because my son just flushed the toilet. His bathroom is right above me. I didn't know. I can't tell if you could hear that or mic. It's kind of funny. I wonder if people can hear it. But to Julian's question, there was a pretty cool idea that came out in some of the discussions as we're talking about small businesses and people struggling with sales, and maybe businesses are kind of falling into three camps. Either your business is still sustaining, you're a healthcare worker, you're in real estate or some other areas where it hasn't slowed down. You got work to do. You're just adapting about how you're engaging people. Other people are, literally having to close shop or stop operations. And then there's a third camp where it's like, I may not have the volume. I'm not closed, but I got excess capacity and time with my people. I'm going to invest that in improving my business. I'm going to focus on looking at my business processes and my methods or how I'm organized. And I'm going to make some changes and put some energy into my business right now. So when we come out of this at the end of the tunnel, we're going to be better. And I think that's kind of an interesting reflection about kind of three different camps that businesses are in. And Derek and some others in the group that we were in talked about, businesses that are struggling, just to stay connected with your vendors and your customers really strongly. And if you can't, offer a service to them that they're willing to pay for, be there anyway. Be looking to serve first, maintain those relationships, and don't be shy about asking for, social currency. I think is what we talked about, right, Derek? Is the idea that, if I'm here offering value, I'm doing something for you that's useful, give me a shout out. I'm not getting paid for it, but you can at least maybe recognize me, remember my brand, like me on LinkedIn, or refer me to other people. And there's value in that too, in remembering, people remember how they were treated during this time, much more than anything else. So that was a key takeaway for me, Julian, is just thinking about how people are in those three different camps. Some people are using this time to improve their business, but then also, giving value first and asking for that social currency in exchange. That's
Awesome.
good. For good salespeople, ask for that back.
What about you, Julian?
So I think the one thing that for me personally is setting back and mapping out my process. When you're as old as we are, Derek, we get used to doing things a certain way, and by doing that, you just kind of, it's like almost natural. It's natural muscle memory, right? I know what I do between 8 and 9. I make a phone call, blah blah blah. But mapping out what I need to do as a sales process, and then looking at it and go, there's a big hole there. There's just not enough information to make the next step logically without some more research. So I went back to my process mapping days, and I've got my Kaada Post-it notes on my wall, and I take up and down twice to modify it and change it and go, okay, this is where I want to do, because I assume that many of our jobs, many of these sales jobs, are going to be changing dramatically. I can't imagine if we were able to deliver results without lunches, dinners, happy hours, all that sort of thing, people are going to start looking hard at what the process is and how much can I automate of that process. I think that's going to be one takeaway out of it. So before we wrap up, first of all, this has been great. I love this. This is a good format. First of all, I love you guys, period. So it's just easy to get down and talk. I miss you guys. I miss hanging out with you guys on Tuesday morning. But it'll come. This too shall pass. I think that's an F3 thing, right? They're talking about there, Jesse. But Jeremy, can you talk about what's going on? Josh, can you talk about what's going on next week for the leadership curriculum?
Absolutely. So one of the things Kaada did in its infancy is figure out that our process is unbelievable, but our members also want a little bit of a teaching moment or a leadership curriculum, as we called it. And so next week, we're going to kick it off with what every leader or aspiring leader should do fundamentally first before anything else, and that's understand how they show up to other people. So having good social awareness or emotional intelligence, some of the fundamentals around that, as well as how you are aware of others. And so, human relationships are defined on just that, how you interact and socialize and do business with others. So we're going to spend 15 to 20 minutes on that during our Kaada meeting, and we're excited to get that kicked off.
That's great. Thank you. So guys, any last thoughts, Derek?
Yeah, that meeting that Josh just referred to is next Wednesday at 12 Central. Make sure you're there.
Jesse.
Keep smiling. No matter what you're doing, it's always.
Hold that up, man. Hold that up.
Smiling.
That's awesome.
Keep smiling. This too will pass.
Jeremy.
Yes, sir.
Any last thought?
Last thought was I think we need to do this at the end of every week, as Jesse and Josh indicated. I thought this was super helpful. This was like the cherry on top for me. It's been a challenging couple weeks. I'm out of quarantine tomorrow, but I don't really know what I'm going to do. So
go for a walk, man.
Go for a run, dude.
Yeah. Take that dog out.
Yeah, I'm just pumped. Got the new office set up as of today. I'm getting pictures of my desk and furniture and other people moving it in. So I a lot of people that are going to be happy that I get back to real life. So this was a blessing, and I just appreciate and just very cherish you guys a lot. So,
Thanks, brother.
Josh, one takeaway?
Takeaways are just what these guys said. I don't have anything to add other than it's great to see you guys. I love that we've started this. Just amazing things for a lot of people, and I'm happy to be part of it, and can't wait for next week.
And mute your toilets.
Keep smiling, mute your toilets.
Hey guys, thanks. Love y'all. See you soon.
Peace, man.
Thanks for hosting.
Have a good week.
cheers.